Like, did you have no idea about the optics? Maybe we don't need this part. Maybe we can leave this out, okay, and not risk getting the entire series scrubbed from YouTube.
For 3 glorious weeks, poker had its moment in the sun. The World Series of Poker had finally delivered what the community had been begging for: a slick, binge-worthy documentary series that could sit comfortably alongside Netflix's finest. Instead, it became a cautionary tale about artificial intelligence, trust, and the very nature of truth in the digital age. The series was called No Limit, and it had all the makings of a masterpiece. Created by Dustin Iannotti, a former marketing team member from Full Tilt and PokerStars, the documentary featured a dream cast of poker royalty, including Daniel Negreanu, Phil Hellmuth, Scott Seaver, Maria Ho, Liv Burry, and a constellation of online stars like Wolfgang Poker and Lexi Gavin Mather. Iannotti's team captured more than 700 hours of footage, condensing it into 8 30-minute episodes. In Iannotti's own words on social media, he spent a year making a poker show for people who don't play poker, promising to tell stories worthy of the game and the players. But beneath the polished veneer, a digital deception was lurking, one that would destroy the entire project in a matter of days. Alan Keating, the high-stakes cash game legend known for his appearance on Hustler Casino Live, was scrolling through social media when something caught his eye. WSOP had posted promotional material for the documentary featuring quotes attributed to him. The problem? He never said them. In a now deleted tweet, Keating took to social media and claimed that about half a dozen of his quotes from the episode were actually made by the production team using AI to put words in his mouth, and they never told him they were doing it or what it would say. Let's talk about exactly what was fabricated, because the details matter here. There were 2 specific AI-generated quotes. The first appears at the 19-minute and 18-second mark of episode 5, where Keating supposedly says, "I like putting people in tough spots and testing their will." Iannotti claimed that this quote was synthesized from several other things Keating had said, including, "I think cash games are a big test of the man than tournaments," and "I actually do get a lot of joy out of when someone's really frustrated." The second fabricated quote appears at the 23rd minute mark of episode 6, where Keating's AI-cloned voice says, "Is this over? Can I go find a cash game now?" This was supposedly created from Keating actually asking, "Should we go play cash?" In now deleted replies to Keating's post, Iannotti admitted that his team used AI technology on 2 brief sequences during post-production, totaling approximately 10 seconds. He acknowledged that they should have consulted Keating on these editorial choices, but then immediately pivoted to defense mode. Iannotti pointed out that episode 5 had received an overwhelmingly positive response, with many viewers specifically citing their enjoyment of Alan's segments. He added that as Alan's YouTube production team, they have always had his best interest in mind and remain committed to their creative partnership. Iannotti suggested he wished this had been handled privately and implied that emotions can run high with regards to creative work, essentially suggesting Keating might be overreacting. Keating's response to this attempted justification was devastating in its simplicity. He said, "This does not deserve a reply, and you know why." By Sunday evening, the WSOP released an official statement on social media announcing that they had recently learned that AI-generated content was used in the No Limit docuseries to alter players' words without authorization. They removed all 6 episodes that had been released on YouTube and promised to redo the editing to ensure the final product reflects their standards. Just like that, a documentary that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to produce, featuring poker's biggest names, shot over months of work, was completely pulled from the internet. The final 2 episodes that were supposed to air never saw the light of day. For WSOP and GGPoker, this represented a massive blow to their reputation. But here's where it gets even messier. Alan Keating might not have been the only victim. Another player named Alex Keating came forward with his own complaint. Alex, who was also featured in episode 5, posted on social media that the producers used a fake AI voice for him and edited things without context. He explicitly stated that he never agreed to this and no longer wanted to be part of the documentary. Iannotti pushed back on Alex's claim, stating that they only used AI enhancements on his voice to isolate it from surrounding noise, not to fabricate dialogue. In an interview with poker.org, Iannotti explained that AI placeholders were created for other participants with the intent for them to come in person and actually record the final version, but Keating was somehow missed, so the original AI voice was left in. The poker community's reaction was swift and unforgiving. Jennifer Tilly wrote that she doesn't even like being misquoted, and the idea of someone using her voice to put inserted sentences into a documentary is unacceptable to her on so many levels. German pro Dominic Nitsch suggested GGPoker just bin the entire project and use the money to reduce rake, giving money back to the WSOP players. Patrick Leonard suggested to scrap all these documentaries, scrap the repeated narratives, and bring back Rounders 2. Will Jaffe said, "Someone really made a docuseries forced on the human element of poker, then had to delete all the episodes of YouTube because they used AI to edit them." Turns out the lad who had the temerity to lecture the entire poker industry and call us creatively bankrupt likes to literally put words in people's mouths. Dustin Iannotti has apologized privately to Keating and publicly to the community. He insists his intention was never malicious, that it was an oversight in a complex production process. And perhaps that's true, but intent matters less than impact. The damage has already been done. No Limit will be re-edited, the AI content removed, and the series may eventually return to YouTube. But it will always carry the stain of this scandal. The bigger impact, though, might be positive. This scandal is forcing poker media, organizers, and the production studios to establish clear rules for using AI. Because at the end of the day, if you are making a documentary about poker, a game built entirely on reading people and trusting your judgment about what's real and what's not, you absolutely cannot afford to blur the line between truth and fabrication. The irony is almost too perfect. We leave you with Will Jaffe's perfect response to this situation.
Look, Dustin, you do an awful lot of chirping on Twitter about how bad poker content is and how, awful the direction it's going in is, and you're going to bring us back to the golden days. You're going to create the Queen's Gambit for poker. And how are you going to do this? You're going to focus on the personalities, the people, behind the glasses, behind the hoodies, the real characters of the game. You're not going to focus on the strategy, the optimization. You want a show that's all about the people, the personalities. And what do you do in this show that's all about the people, the humans? You literally use AI to edit what they're saying without asking them. Did you have no idea about the optics of changing what not one Keating said in your show, but 2 Keatings? I just don't get it. How did that not run through your head? Maybe we don't need this part. Maybe we can leave this out, okay, and not risk getting the entire series scrubbed from YouTube because we used AI to edit it. Beyond that, bro. Did you really think you were going to have this Queen's Gambit Drive to Survive Rounders 2 start in Daniel Negreanu's home? Do we really need to see this guy's house again? Do we really need to see him make a hot dog without meeting it again? You're going to relate to the common person. Joe from Delaware is going to get off his couch and go deposit on WSOP.com because he sees Phil Hellmuth with 49 sponsorships on his body playing a $25,000 500 buy-in tournament in the Bahamas. Yeah, that's what's going to do it. Or maybe it's Elon Musk's only real friend, Liv Boeree, winning $3 million. That's what's going to bring back the poker boom. This is just such an obvious example of everybody wanting to be a star these days. In your Twitter header, it says, insert future accolades here. I've got one for you, buddy. You're the first person to ever get their docuseries scrubbed from YouTube for using AI. Congratulations.